Alright, I pulled up the VOD, and I guess I can screen share it. I don't know. Let's see if this works, because I'm recording my screen right now. Let's see if I can screen share as well. Alright, do you see it?
I do.
Cool. So yeah, this was that game you had versus that Galio yesterday. Let me think. And by the way, do you mainly just like play normals?
Yeah, usually.
Alright, that's cool. I'm just
I played
curious.
a bit of ranked, but not much recently.
I see. Do you just play normals because you like want to play with friends or like?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, one sec. All right. Let's get started. I saw a lot of things, looking at that stream. I was just like, oh man, there's a couple of things we can do here. I know I hate the Galio matchup too. You said I think I heard you say on stream that you hate the Galio matchup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just it can be difficult. I mean, anyone who takes aftershock for like assassins, it can be really annoying to deal with them because like when you go into trade, they just don't take any damage, right? So, all right. I'm not sure what the best way to do this is. Like I mentioned, I'm still like somewhat new to coaching League. I coached like Hearthstone in the past, so that was slightly different. But do you think we should just like review this together, or do you have any questions you want to go with up front, or should I just like kind of play this and talk about it as it goes?
Play it and talk about it.
All right, let's do that. I guess one thing, and this is kind of small, even before we get into the laning phase. If the enemy team is like stacking up and like invading somewhere, you want to be careful with like walking in the river like this, especially since you already skilled your Q. Because like if they're just like in this brush, you can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had that happen though, where you like walk out here and then they're all like piled up in here and this brush, and then you end up getting like killed?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just a small thing. It's kind of like an unnecessary risk, I guess. So let's try to get into the actual laning. So usually as Ekko, you want to like push the wave early with your Q, proc your passive, all that good stuff. And then Ekko, doesn't really have a very good laning phase for the most part. But at like level 3 or like level 2, if you get level 2 first, you can trade really well. And then like level 3 is kind of your primary trading point once you get your shield. So just at the start of this, I would try to push the wave more, pretty much always, like in all matchups level 1, because Ekko's Q is just so good. Like you just walk up to the wave and throw a Q, and then Galio's going to feel a little bit pressured to try to push the wave back. Because, I mean, your whole goal here with pushing the wave is that you get level 2 first, and then you also can push, the creeps under towers, so he'll miss some of them. But in general, I'd say getting level 2 first is really, really big as Ekko. Because then you can just like immediately go in and trade and proc like electrocute. I feel like one thing I noticed when I was watching live, and I think this is a somewhat common thing for people who are like silver and gold and like those elos, is they focus too much on hitting their opponent rather than like hitting the minions. Like, would you say you're like really focused on like trying to kill your opponent in lane a lot of the time, or
Yeah. Probably.
yeah. Like you don't even have to kill your opponent to get an advantage. So one thing I would say is try to focus on finding ways to deal damage without taking too much damage in return. So like right here, this is a little bit sketchy because well, first off, one thing to be really careful of is Galio's passive, where he has like that AoE auto.
Yeah.
And then he kind of just poked you with it right there. And there's an audio cue for that and a visual cue, I think. So try to pay attention to that when you're laning against Galio. And like one thing you can do to bait it out is if you know he has it, which I'm trying to look for the visual cue. I mean, I guess he has it up this whole time. Yeah, so if you know he has it, you can kind of like hide behind your creeps and act like you're gonna walk forward, and then just wait until he last hits one of them, and then you don't have to worry about it after he's used it. So yeah, okay. I already feel like I'm giving a ton of extra information. I'm gonna try to just focus on the important, like the really important stuff, because I don't want to overwhelm you with stuff. Okay. But yeah, what I was saying about taking damage, right here, when you like walk forward to auto him, I'm guessing you were gonna try to hit him with the Q so you could get your passive off, right?
Probably, yeah.
But then one thing is that he's got a couple creeps right there. I keep trying to press the arrow key to rewind. I guess I should just use this. So yeah, he's got these two creeps, and you've got this one creep. You're already a little lower, and you already used your Q. Even if this Q does hit, then you would end up taking a lot more damage because you would have to auto him again. And like, you know, these creeps are going to be hitting you, and he's hitting you with his Q and his autos. So that, as you can see, you know, like your health bar difference, like that's not a very good trade. So it's just risky trading with Ekko level 1. If someone like walks into you and then you hit them with your Q, you know, to slow them, and then you know you can get your passive without taking too much minion damage, then that could be good. But I'd say in general, just try to avoid trading with Ekko level 1, especially against other melee champions like this who can dish out some pretty good damage. So as it stands, it looks like he's going to get level 2 first because this creep's about to die. You know, you get level 2 as the first melee on the second wave dies. But then you're still in a risky spot. Like this Galio, if he leveled up his E right away, he could have gone onto you with it, and then you would have taken a lot more damage for that. So you get your level 2, level up your E, that's good. And this is good. One thing about this though is like you didn't end up proccing your electrocute, which is a little sad, but the nice thing about this trade is you get his aftershock out. So once his aftershock is on cooldown, he's going to be a lot more vulnerable to your trades. You know, aftershock is like a pretty long cooldown. I guess they lowered the cooldown on the most recent patch, so it's not as big of a deal, but it's something to be aware of. Yeah, and this right here, against Galio especially, or any champion that you know has like meaningful CC, you want to try to be ready with your dash at any time. Like right when he starts this up, this E, you can dodge it. You know, you could go down, and then you could have gone back in, and you probably would have been able to kill him right there because he was tanking the creeps, and you have Ignite. But then I'm pretty sure you end up killing him here, and you sent me like a message on Discord.
Yeah.
Let's see. So he takes that Q, then he takes the second one, so your passive is ready to go, and you just go in. I'm not even sure if you need to flash here.
I did it just in case for the extra range for the E.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. Oh yeah, and then this, like right as you kill him, like yeah, you want a last hit, but you should use this Q on the wave so you can push it as fast as possible because you gotta shove and recall right here.
My CS is not that great.
That's okay though. That's something that you can always work on. Like some people will ask, you know, like how do I work on my CSing, or how do I get 100 CS in 10 minutes and that kind of stuff. I mean, the main thing is just like practice your CSing while you're playing in game. You don't have to go into a custom and do that. So just, you know, that's something you can always work on. Another thing is, do you play on lock screen mainly?
Yeah.
All right. I would say try to unlock your screen. I know it's gonna feel like really weird, but if you unlock your screen and you just like use that to look around a little more. Like let me see, just like in lane right here, even if you unlock your screen and you like scroll over a bit to see Shyvana, or you can just leave your camera in a place where, like, something I would usually do is, like, if I'm scared of getting ganked from down here, then I could leave my camera more at a position where it will be ready to see like the jungler coming. It's not a huge thing to unlock your camera, but I would say it's something that you should definitely work on in the long run, because it just gives you like more flexibility with how you see the game, I guess, if that makes sense. I mean, some pros will still play on locked camera sometimes. Like even Double Lift, he has talked about in the past how he like locks his camera and then he needs to get used to unlocking it again. Like he'll, in the off season, he'll be like lazy and he'll just like always play with his camera locked. Or that's something he used to say. I don't know if he still does it, but that's something I would say try to work on in the long run. You don't have to feel super pressured like in your next few games, like, oh, I need to play with my camera unlocked, because it can mess you up getting used to the camera being unlocked. Another thing, I guess I mentioned your runes. I think your rune page is good. Absolute Focus, Gathering Storm helps with clearing the minions at 10 and all that. But yeah, aside from CSing and aside from like the camera stuff, let's just try to focus on lane. So yeah, you have no flash and you have 2 wards. This is something that you should just be aware of. When you have no flash, I forget who the enemy jungler is this game. I think it's Lee Sin. But you should definitely get a ward down, even if it's a little bit of a lazy ward, because where you are right now in the lane, Galio could E onto you and then go for a taunt, and then if Lee Sin's nearby, you could end up dying. Like right here, this is super risky because you don't know where Lee Sin is and you don't have any vision. So I would say definitely, like, as you're walking back into lane, especially since you bought a pink, you know, it's good that you bought a pink. Like you could just walk over, place the pink right down here in this brush. And then you could also place the yellow ward like over this wall. That's a ward I really like to have. It's kind of hard to describe because you can't really see the spot I'm talking about right now, but on this side too, a ward like right over this wall helps you to see if the jungler comes from that quadrant up there.
Yeah.
So yeah, just try to be aware in lane. You know, if you have wards, use them, especially when your flash is down. Because especially as a mid laner, you know, like the support will look for roams. Sometimes the top laner will look for roams. The jungler loves to come gank mid. So just having as much vision as possible and then playing towards your vision will help a lot with not dying, like in lane. And then another thing I feel like I noticed when you were playing was you go for trades and then you W after. I think it would be good to switch up that order. Like even though they can see that you're using your W, they're not going to have enough time to completely get out of the area. So usually what you want to do as Ekko to trade is, like, let's say you're right here and you have your cooldowns. You know, you can just put your W somewhere up there where Galio might be. It's not a huge deal if you get the stun or not. The main thing is getting the shield and then trading while you have the shield. And to someone like Galio, it's a little riskier. And you wouldn't want to do it with the way the wave is right now, you know, since he has all of these minions stacked up. You would rather do it when you have a big wave stacked up yourself, because all this minion damage adds up, even though you have your shield and all that kind of stuff. You don't want to trade when he has this many minions. Do you feel like this is helpful so far? Am I telling you stuff that's okay? Good. And if you ever have any questions, always feel free to interject. I know I talk a lot and that kind of stuff, but
It's fine.
all right. So yeah, just in general, I would say try to push the wave more to like free yourself up. Ekko is a super strong roaming champion. I understand that you want to like win lane and try to kill this Galio, but especially in a matchup like this where, you know, you see what Galio just did to you and he tanked the tower shot. In a matchup like this where you're not necessarily winning as Ekko, it's really, really good just to be able to push the wave and follow your jungler around or go roam to another lane. Also right here, this is something to be aware of in general, like in any lane, is Galio just used all his cooldowns, but then you run away. Like he tanked a tower shot too, and his aftershocks falling off. What I would have liked to see here instead is, since you know Galio just used everything, you can trade into him. Even though you just took a lot of damage, he's just going to be able to retaliate with an auto attack. So right here, E, W, Q, they're all down. He autos you, and right there, I would really like to see you like W and then EQ and like trade onto him and then walk away. Because you gotta like try to get something back. Because what he did right there, even though he tanked the tower shot, you pretty much let him walk all over you for free, you know? He just used everything and then you didn't punish it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this matchup in general? Like when you see Galio locked in on the enemy screen, are you like kind of like sighing to yourself like, oh, I'm never gonna be able to kill this guy, or man, this matchup sucks, or things like that? Or like, how do you feel?
Not happy about it.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely understandable, but I think something that you want to try to work around in difficult matchups is you don't want to like psych yourself out. You don't want to think to yourself, oh, this guy's playing Galio, it's such a brain dead champion, and he like I'm never gonna be able to out trade him and all that kind of stuff. You want to instead try to find ways that you can win the lane, or like look for his mistakes. Or like even if he doesn't make big mistakes, you want to make sure that you play your side of it well, and you're not worried about this is a bad matchup. Instead, you should be thinking like, why is it a bad matchup, or what makes it bad? And like since Galio gets that magic shield and he has aftershock, all that stuff makes it bad. So you just need to adjust and think, oh, since he has aftershock, I'll try not to trade when he has that, or I'll like E away when he tries to take a hard trade onto me, or I'll get my jungler to try to help me because this Galio keeps using his E really aggressively and committing to hard trades, so maybe my jungler can come help me out. So yeah, right here you end up being really low on mana and somewhat low on health. And part of this is happening because, you know, like you're using your W and you're not really getting much value out of it. And you're using your Q and you're getting some value out of it here. But yeah, this W, even though they made Ekko's W cheaper, you still want to be careful with how you use your mana. Like this Q's fine to try to get the wave moving. And this Q, oof, this is not very efficient. Because Ekko's Q does end up costing a decent chunk of mana. I don't think you have the mana cost displayed. I think at this level it's like 80 or 90. So there goes a whole chunk of mana just to get that 1 CS. I don't think that's worth it with like with where your mana bar is at. I mean, maybe what you could do here is you could just like walk up and hit it, and then if you get in a dangerous situation, you could E away. But you don't want to use Qs like that on autopilot, because this is how you end up running Right here, E away. You didn't really even need E away. I mean, we talked about that trade where you should go in and trade on him, but right there, he's already done with his damage, so you don't really have to be afraid. Did you just throw another Q? I'm trying to look where all the mana goes. Yeah, so another Q. With these Qs, I would say focus more on trying to hit the entire wave. That way it's as efficient as possible. Like your Q deals as much damage as possible. And then that one, you know, like even if that hits him, it only hits like his magic damage shield and you're not getting much value out of it. This is something I tried to develop for myself. And now since I'm starting to coach people, I tried to tell people is like, you want to be efficient with your ability usage and your mana usage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like mainly it comes down to autopiloting. Like you're probably just like, oh, I'm gonna try to hit him with this Q, get this damage on him. But you want to be more careful with how you use your resources. Right here, walking back into the lane. Like in the matchup, just always be ready to use your E. Because it shouldn't be super hard to react to Galio's E. You know, he like jumps back and darts towards you. And now you end up in a spot where you can't really help your team, which is really bad as a mid laner. Because like yeah, you're pretty much out of mana, you're low on health. Even if your jungler comes right now, you can't help too much with the gank, so you're forced to just kind of sit here and farm this, while now Galio has like priority. He can go do stuff. He can go like ult bot, ult top. Recalling here is fine. If you didn't use that Q, you can maybe walk up to clear the wave, especially since Galio's showing bot. So like right here, with those Qs I talked about, you would have been around like 200 or 300 mana if you didn't use them. Or like your wave would have been in a more, like in a better spot if you had used them efficiently. So now Galio pretty much got a free roam because you can't even push the wave in since you didn't have the mana.
Yeah.
So running back to lane. And also running back to lane, this is a really small thing. You might as well E here because you're full mana. Let's get there a little faster. I didn't see where these wards went. This is another thing to be aware of. Oh yeah, I think I noticed you place them in these side brushes sometimes. These wards, like in the side brushes, like on this one and the one down here, you know, I think they're a little bit lazy most of the time. I think you, like, yeah, you don't want to walk too far and miss creep XP, but that's part of the benefit of pushing the wave. Like, let's say you pushed out this wave before you placed this ward. If it was all pushed out, like you push this one in hard, then you have more time to go ward. You could go get a ward on like the Raptors or just at like the corner right here. And it would help you see like more useful information, because like by the time Lee Sin's right here, usually it's gonna be like too late, or it's just a sketchy ward spot, I would say. Like if you can, just try to ward it in the river. Like you don't even have to go all the way up in this corner. You just want to walk into this brush and place it like up here. You don't even have to place it into that other brush, but just being able to see the enemy jungler or top laner, whoever it is, a tiny bit sooner can make a really big difference. And it sees further into the river. Like they're not going to gank you from here, right? They're not going to walk in from mid and then go in this brush. Pretty much always, if they're ganking you from here, or if they're walking around this way, they should walk by this path that's up here. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yeah, I would say just try to get a ward that's a little further. It's not like that ward's terrible, but in general, you want to try to get a little bit better of a ward. So let's see what happens here. Oh yeah, this is where he E's onto you. And I think once again, this is one of those spots where he uses all of his cooldowns and then you end up just running away. Like by now, he's already procced everything on you, like Aftershock and everything. Here, you're a little bit lower and you're out of mana. So this time it makes more sense that you ran away. But yeah, it just sucks how he gets to do that to you. You know, like pretty much like beat you up for free. And all of that kind of stems from using your mana and losing your health, like in this early trade. Like all this stuff kind of snowballs, you know, like this little chunk of damage, everything adds up in League. It's a game of like small advantages that turn into like bigger snowballs. So like even though you recalled in between that time, yeah, like this, that W could have given you a shield and all that kind of stuff. So I don't want to talk too much about the same points. Sorry if I sound like a broken record. Let's see. So moving on. What happened here? Galio just recalled, I guess. So yeah, in spots like this, definitely, even if like even if you're not doing like a ton of stuff with your camera, you should definitely take it off your character and like check bot, check top, you know, just see how things look. Maybe someone could be really low health. Maybe you see someone just like use their ultimate or use their flash, and then you're like, okay, now I'll go roam there. Like, yeah, you want to be aware of your character just in case Lee Sin jumps on you, but try to move your camera around a little more when you have free time. Let me see. Yeah, right here. This potentially could have been like Galio's flash or a kill. So he just used everything and now he's got to walk away. So if you place W like up here somewhere and you just walk at him, like stay near him since Shyvana's coming. Like let's say this W is somewhere here and then like he happens to walk into it or it zones him. So like he can't walk into it to get stunned. Then you guys actually have kill potential there. Yep. That Q was okay. You hit a bunch of minions with it, so that's good. And then right here, I would just like check the lanes, like check the others people. Like you don't have that much gold. This isn't really that. I mean, it's a fine recall timing. It's a good time to recall, but like maybe you could have done something more with your time. Like, yeah, that Singe is really low. You could have already been on the way top, or like you could have gone the long way going through his tri-brush, and then he'd definitely be dead when Shyvana walks up too. She still ends up getting him, I think, but even if the Shyvana wasn't there, you probably would have been able to kill him and then just come back to mid because he was so low. Or you could kill him and recall. I mean, since it's a cannon wave, on cannon waves usually you lose the least because the cannon takes so many tower shots. That was fine. That time, this time you actually go back in with your E and you proc electrocute. So this is better than the other stuff. This W though, I don't know. To me, it just seems kind of autopilot because like you're not even walking towards him. Or like maybe you're talking to Shyvana and you guys were thinking maybe you could go, but then you said like you couldn't or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, and right here you don't have to do anything mid. You could look bot and see like the health bars and mana. I would have placed W already somewhere where you think he's gonna run. Like right as Shyvana comes over the wall here, you place W somewhere. It doesn't matter where, as long as it's like somewhere where he might end up, you know? You just want to make sure you make it that much more likely you kill him. Oh yeah, you definitely could have dove him right there. If you walk forward, like he's super low, you've got ult, you've got flash, you've got ignite. I would just EQ, ignite him, and he's dead. If he flashes, he could also mess up the timing of his flash. You know where people flash, but you still follow them as Ekko because it's a blink? Yeah. So he would have to time it right. Any questions so far? I know I'm throwing a lot of info at you.
No, it's all good.
Okay, cool. So right here, he flashes. He's trying to set up his gank. This is a tough spot. When he flash and ease you could definitely just go for an ult. I mean, in this type of situation, you're probably thinking like, will my ult do something here or will it save me or whatever? But like, I would just go for it. Just to dodge his E, because once you dodge Galio's E, it's gonna be like impossible for him to taunt you because like you still have flash, and unless Lee Sin kicks you into him or something, like there's definitely a chance for you to ult away, especially with how low Galio is. I definitely would have ulted here. And then you even have a shot at killing them both. It's pretty unlikely, but you could definitely trade kills with Galio. Or if you ult like as soon as possible out of the taunt, like once you know you've messed up, you'll still end up dying, but it'll give you that big chunk, like that heal, and then you could kill Galio because your cooldowns were up. Or not your E, but your Q and your auto and your ignite. Because he already had one passive stack on him. Yep, good. Just push the wave. And then right here, hopefully you walk up and just queue this next wave as well. Yep, and it goes through all of them. That's great. That's exactly how you want to use it. It's too bad it's not killing the backline minions yet, but that's probably because you're a little behind-ish, a little under-farmed-ish.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's level 9 that you can one-shot the back wave.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true too. I was just seeing if your absolute focus was up as well when you did it. I think it was. But yeah, I think you're right. Level 9. So what happens here? This is so much better. If you just played all those early trades like this, they would have been a lot more favorable for you. Like you E to dodge his E. This is just really well done. I mean, placing the W early is fine too. Maybe you put it in a spot that's a little too safe. You know, I feel like a lot of your W's are like too safe. You know, you're like your W just in case like the Lee Sin shows up and hits you or something, but you don't really need to use your W like that, I feel like. Oh yeah, and this Galio build, he built that that lethality item that sees wards. So this is good how you're walking into river with him, because you know Shyvana's right here. Another thing I want to talk about is your combos. We could probably just like jump into a custom, or I could show you some clips of Ekko EQ, but it's actually really important that like when you EQ, and I noticed this earlier too a couple times. So like the way this should go is you should press E and then Q right away, and then after you've pressed Q, then you go for the blink, you know, like where you auto attack them. But instead what happens is you E and hit him, and now you're going to use your Q, and then it kind of whiffs. I mean, that's kind of whatever. But oh man, I'm trying to think if I have any plays, TVs, clips with Ekko where I do the EQ thing. I probably do. Let me just pull this up real quick. I mean, you'll see like Shifter does this as well, and like all the good Korean Ekko players. And it's really important to make sure your combos are smooth and that you get all your damage off. I have some Ekko clips here. I'll just put it up here. I don't think I do it in this clip. Right here, EQ, and I do it like as soon as possible. Check this out. So this is the way you should pretty much always combo as Ekko with EQ. You'll see I press E and then Q right after, and then after my Q is in the air, then I go for the auto attack. And what this does is, look, she's slowed, and like this situation isn't as good as I'd hoped it would be. I think it's because I kind of, let me see. Boom. You see that Q coming back in? So like, it's almost like an animation cancel. I think that's what it is. EQ, go in. My Q is in the air and she gets hit by it. Or actually, did she get hit by it? I don't know if she actually did, but it sets up for you to hit them with it. You know, like I could have flashed to make sure. I think she did get hit by a proc nullifying orb. But do you see what I mean? Like, it can maybe be hard to see the difference. but it actually does make a big difference. Because your Q animation takes a little while to go out. It makes it more accurate too. Like I just hover my mouse over them and they're slowed. It's just so like fluid. It's so smooth. It makes it like slightly harder because your Q is a little more of a skill shot since you throw it from a little bit of a distance away, but it makes it so much more likely that you hit them with the Q. Yeah, and this is good. This is actually, I was impressed how you ulted back in here. It was good. Good job. Let's just look at this one more time. Yeah, perfect. And now you're in a really set spot, but whatever. It seemed like you tried to dodge the Lee Sin Q, so that's good. Now you've got Proto Belt, good build. I'm a fan. That was good. Eating away. You still end up taking a somewhat bad trade, but that's just kind of like the nature of Galio versus Ekko. And also since you didn't manage to get your W down. But yeah, I guess the main stuff I'm focusing on is like that sort of like laning phase stuff I was talking about. Yep. And yeah, moving the camera around more. I'm trying to think if there's any other stuff that's really important to mention. Yeah, you might have been able to still go top here if they were like low or something. Even though Galio's following you, since you would be there first, and like you've got Proto Belt, you've got pretty good assassination potential. Yeah, I would also see what's going on down here with this fight. Shyvana and Galio. It's always good to move your camera around and see what's going on. Even if you end up missing 1 or 2 CS, it's good to just be aware, like have good map awareness. And right there, that's another one of those wards. Try to not place wards like this. That's like your homework. When it comes to vision, try to place wards that are further up in the river, or like on like a jungle camp, or somewhere else when you have free time. Pink wards are fine in those brushes. If you have a pink ward, totally fine to put it in there, but the yellow wards, try to put them somewhere a little deeper, or somewhere that gives you a little more information. Another thing I was thinking about here is, I mean, this might not be good, but it's worth considering. After you restore a little bit of mana on this recall, you can maybe ult back to help with this fight. So, you know, you count to like 3 Mississippi. Actually, you probably could, because you have Corrupting Potion too. It probably, I think it would have been good. But just considering it is better than not thinking about it at all. So keep that in mind. If there's like a fight going on right here, or wherever you just recalled as Ekko, and especially if you have Corrupting Potion that you can pop to restore some of your mana when you get there, consider ulting to get back. You might be able to kill that guy because you have Ignite and Proto Belt. Oh, also if you do the smooth EQ here, like the smooth EQ you would be a little further a little further along to chase him, because right here you just do your whole E, and then you have to wait for your Q to get thrown out. See this? You're like not moving during that time. If you EQ'd, you'd probably be like up here somewhere, because it's just like it's a more efficient use of your gap closer. I'm trying to think of another champion to relate it to, like as an example. Like Lee Sin. If Lee Sin lands his Q and then instantly takes it, he doesn't have a gap closer left. But like if Lee Sin lands his Q and then uses his E to put down some more damage and all that kind of stuff to get him in execute range with his Q, and then uses his Q, or like, I don't know. I'm having a hard time thinking of a good like analogy or example. Does that make sense to you? Why you would be further along if yeah, okay, good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, and then you could ignite Proto Belt, and with your W's passive, like, you know, the execute damage, you could probably finish him. So yeah, these are like, some of these are big things that would add up, but mainly the stuff in League is just the little things, you know. Like I'll probably write down some notes based on this session, but I'll also post this session on YouTube if you want. That way you could like look back at it.
All right.
That was a really sketchy hook from Thresh. You could have gone in. I would say try to like test your limits more. Go for like risky plays, especially when you have ult and flash. Like especially when you have all these things up, all your summoners and ult and proto belt. Just try going in more often on stuff like that, because Ekko can do some really sick stuff. Oh, it's really sad. Those backline minions are living with 1 HP. And yeah, with this sort of playstyle I'm talking about, being more efficient with your mana, right here, you'd probably have like at least 140 CS, and you would have more AP, and then you would one-shot the backline, and you would deal a bunch more damage. But like based on how much you walked around the map this game, I know you mentioned like you mess up CS and stuff, but if you use your Q, it'll help to CS as well. Like if you use your Q on the wave more, because you know you get to passive it and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, some more homework would be to watch, like, you don't have to watch whole games, but if you watch like the first like 4 minutes of laning phase by like challenger Ekko players, and just see how much they use their Q and how they use their W.
There, I probably could have ignited that and gotten it.
Yeah, let's see. Oh yeah, for sure. You probably just didn't expect your electrocute proc, that burst damage right at the end. You played it pretty decently up to that point though. Like you got your W down. Even though it doesn't quite reach, it's still fine. You get his flash, and then you have Proto Belt. Like this is all good. This is all good stuff. Even though you didn't get the ignite off, you didn't get the kill, because you probably didn't expect the electrocute. That's something else. Mainly in lane, when you're playing champions with electrocute, just check your electrocute cooldown. Like if it's up, it's usually a good time to go for a trade. This is actually really important for Ekko, I think, because I'll see a lot of Ekko players go for a trade, and then they'll win it hard, and then they'll be like, all right, my cooldowns are up, I'm just going to go in again, but then they don't win, and they actually could end up dying on an extended trade, and usually it's because their electrocute isn't up. So just be aware of your electrocute cooldown, especially in lane, because if you have electrocute and all of your cooldowns, like your W, your E, your Q, you'll win like so many trades by using those abilities properly, as long as you have electrocute up.
I think I got like 4 backs interrupted here.
Oh, yeah. Be careful with the lazy backs, yeah. Like you don't need this. Like you actually walked forward to recall again. I mean, you just want to recall. Okay, that time you got it off. That's fine. But yeah, it's okay to step back a little further, waste a little extra time to make sure you get a safe recall off. In fact, I would say it's a really good thing a lot of the time, because even in pro play, you know, you see people die because they recalled in a bad spot. Happens less these days, but still happens. This is too bad that you just use your Q on the wave because a fight breaks out. Like, since it already seems like everyone's fighting, I mean, you're trying to clear the wave, but I'm not gonna say it's a bad Q, but just be aware of, you know, when everyone's starting to hit each other, try not to use your cooldowns like your Q unless you're hitting champions with them. Ah, oh, man, this W is so close to being amazing. What I've found with Ekko as well is I feel like you should place your Ws a little deeper than you think you should. Like,
Yeah.
Because the enemy champions, a lot of the time, they'll be like, oh crap, there's an Ekko W on top of me, and then they won't have time to get out of it, you know? Like, I think I have a clip. I think I have a clip to... Wait. These are like my humble brags showing you my clips. Oh man, I have so many Ekko clips. I can... Let's see this. Ekko W. This should be a good example. I mean, I feel like you get what I mean, but just to like... There's the EQ again. And like, you see how I'm right on top of him after that. And my Q's already in the air. I'm right next to him. Like, it makes such a big difference. Boom. Passive proc. Running. Boom. Stunned. I placed that W super deep. Like, I could have placed it better. I didn't need half of it on the wall. But I'm like, alright, this guy's gonna run. He's gotta run. It's not like I predicted his flash, but I put my W there to make sure that that area was not available for him to run to, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, I think you get it. Let's see. Yeah, and this is kind of a rough game, you know. You guys are really behind and all that. So I'm not sure. Oh, this is so sad. So aside from the W, let's see the rest of this fight.
I went for the flash ignite on the Singe there.
Yeah, you could have proto belt ignited. It might have gotten you out of the Galio ult too. Or even if you just proto belt ignite and then ult back immediately, that's another really good thing to do on Ekko. Like, just laying down that ignite, like pretty much doing the damage math in your head, or like if you think it'll kill them, just go for it and then ult away immediately without thinking about it, you know? That's how you can score like a lot of good kills on Ekko. So yeah, you did end up proto belting, but by that time the minion wave's already there. Oh, it's so sad. Yeah. There's a lot of potential here for like, I mean, obviously your team is doing bad and like you may not have still won this fight, but there's so much potential for you to have played this fight better, you know?
Yeah.
All right. Not sure what else there is. Yeah, at this point, you guys are just so behind. It's really rough to win. Although this looks like it's working out. Caitlyn's top. Yeah, so that W, you probably thought he was just going to keep fighting and running around. That W's good. That's a good W. Because, like, it's Singed. She's on top of you. You know Lee Sin's coming. That's a situation where I really like the safe W. They probably should have killed you there. Like, since you walk forward, you just use your dash and Singe flips you. Like, Lee Sin should have been able to hit the Q. But yeah, I feel like the main stuff is just like the laning stuff. So I'm not too sure what else happens at the end here, but I'm sure it's similar stuff to what we already discussed. This is so good. Oh, if only you were strong. This is like a good old like you get your Q down, you get your passive proc. I guess it didn't quite hit the Lee Sin. But that's the right idea for how to play Ekko. It's just they're so far ahead of you guys. So yeah, yeah, it's mainly just the laning stuff. Laning is the most important part of the game in just about every league game. And what I would say is when you're in a matchup like this, you want to find a way to push the wave and roam because Galio is really hard to kill. But you don't necessarily have to kill him. You can just take some winning trades, push your wave out, and try to get stuff done around the map. So yeah, any thoughts or questions, or do you feel like I've explained everything thoroughly? I know some things I I just repeated a bunch, but I really just want to make sure that it all makes sense.
Yeah, I think you did pretty good.
Thanks. All right. Well, I guess if you like don't have any other questions or anything, I'll probably make like a little like note of things to work on, and yeah. Well, also maybe at some point we could come back to this, like maybe in like a week or so, or a couple weeks. You know, you could send over another VOD and we can see you know what you've improved and see how it goes, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
All right, man. Well, I guess that's about it. Anything else at all?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks for participating in this free coaching experience, and hope you have a good one, man. I'll see you.
You too. See ya.